Buggers, welcome back. We're taking a look at wildcards. How to play a wildcard, when to play a wildcard, what to do initially once you have played your wildcard, to try and take advantage of the price rises throughout that given game week. Then once you're ready to choose your final team, and I'll go through exactly what this means, making your final changes ahead of the deadline to make sure that you gain as much points as possible to give you your advantage ahead of your competition and your mini league. Stick around and I'll go through all of that. Guys, this is a particularly exciting video for me, not only because I managed to gain such a significant rank after playing my wildcard last week, but also this is a topic that I find quite interesting because a lot of the FPL managers that we see seem to play the chips very much in a similar way. And in this video, I just wanted to show you that there are different ways to play a wildcard. And initially, when you are playing that wildcard, there's a ton of price rises that you guys can take advantage of. So in this video, we're just going to cover each of those steps. In the beginning step, when to play a wildcard, it's incredibly key that you pull the trigger on your wildcard either during the game week that's already going on, so during that current game week, or as that final goal and whistle goes and takes place. Activate that wildcard so that you've got it ready and you're able to select some of the players that we're going to be looking at in today's video. Main thing to take into account when doing it initially is to select the player that's going to rise in price. That is incredibly key. That's one. And two is make sure that you're not leaving any money on the table. So, for example, Rodrigo might be valued at 6.4. Haaland might be valued at 11.6 in your team. It takes a while for your team value to adjust to the game's value. So as you can see in my team here, we've got Haaland at 11.6. If I go to player information, he's actually worth 11.8. So if I were to remove it on my team now, I would lose 0.2 in value. So critical, remove a player that's not going to decrease your overall team value. Once you've played your wildcard, you need to start to identify the players that are going to increase in price during that given game week. International break, and you're ready to make that wildcard decision. You've pulled the trigger, you've got the wildcard active. Now, the first thing that you want to do is take a look at who's the community transferring in. That will give you a view very early on who's going to be rising in price. There's two ways to take a look at this. One is managers tend to be very knee-jerk in their transfers. And that's the vast majority of transfers. We've got 10 million people in the game. Not all these people are thinking proactively. Not all of these people are saying, let's give this player a chance, exerting some patience. And a lot of these players are saying, I'm done. I can't do another week with Salah in my team. I'm transferring him out. Or Haaland scored again. I need to transfer him in. So this homepage, you go to your fancy Premier League, you go down to status. It's a fantastic time to be able to see who is going to be transferred in by the most players, but most importantly, who's going to be rising in price during this time. So for this given game week, you can see Luis Diaz, Gross, Haaland, Odegaard, Rodrigo are still the most transferred in players. And that will give you, as fancy Premier League managers, the opportunity to take advantage of some of these early price rises. And these are the players that you should be targeting early on in your wildcard. So you're not selecting your final team. You're selecting the team that you believe is going to rise in price throughout the week, so that when you select your final team on that Friday or Saturday morning, you haven't priced yourself out of certain of the players. So we can see from this week, the players that we need to bring in as managers ahead of this particular wildcard would be Rodrigo, Odegaard, Haaland, Gross, and Luis Diaz. From there, you're going to go straight through to your team, go to your transfers page, and you're going to take a look at which players you can transfer out. So again, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you don't want to be leaving team value on the table. So don't transfer out Haaland if you know he's going to be rising in price, or that there's latent value already for a particular player. So Haaland, for example, 11.8 as a game value, but 11.6 value in my team. So you shouldn't be transferring out that player because you'd just be losing on value. The players that I would be identifying in my particular team, I know Salah, he's not going to be rising in price. Gundogan, he's not going to be rising in price. Zinchenko is not likely to be rising in price. I want to bring in a player. I know Salah's not going to rise in price. He might in fact fall in price. He's exactly the type of player that you want to be taking out. Remember, you've got unlimited transfers. So you can bring him back in and stitch your team back together. You've just got to take note of who you've transferred out and who you've transferred in, so that you don't end up butchering your team, making too many transfers. And one of the main things that you need to do is make this transfer decision in terms of attacking price rises once, and make sure that you make that decision, your final decision of your team, once. Don't tinker with your team throughout the week, because you are going to make a mistake and you are going to lose out on team value. So we mentioned that Odegaard was going to go up in price, and we mentioned that Gross was going to go up in price. We've already got Rodrigo in the team. We've already got Haaland in the team, rising in price throughout the particular game week. You're going to say make transfers, and they're going to sit there ready for you to go. The second one that you want to make sure of, and then what you're going to do, is you want to see who's being transferred out. So who's going to lose value throughout this week. Again, you're trying to take advantage of as much of that price fall and price rise as you can. We can see that Zinchenko, Salah, Cancelo, Son, and Zaha obviously being injured are the most transferred out players. You go take a look at your team. I know that Salah, for example, is the player that's going to be falling in my team. I mentioned earlier, that's the player that I'm going to be taking out. Again, make sure that there isn't latent value in that player. So he might be 13.0 but valued at 13.2 in the game, because you're just going to lose value. So just again, be cognizant of that. But you're going to transfer out every single one of these players, even Zinchenko. Again, you're going to be making a second draft. Once you've transferred out all of the players that you believe are going to lose team value, make transfers. You go through to pick team. It's irrelevant. You don't even have to worry about it. From here, you switch off the computer, you shut down, your job's done. Monday passes, Tuesday passes, Wednesday passes, Thursday, Friday, Saturday comes around. This is where you now need to make the crucial decisions ahead of the next game week. And what you need to do here is you go back to your team, you go and see your favorite YouTuber, could be Young Millionaires Bible. Please don't forget to subscribe. A little bit of a drop there. We're coming up with awesome content for you guys throughout the season. And make sure that you've made the transfers and been inspired by the teams. I wouldn't say copy teams. I think that's a bit low, but each to their own if you want to copy a team. And on that Saturday morning, make your transfers. Make sure that you have made the right calls around each of them. You should have seen some price rises and price falls. You will have gotten the players in early that you wanted to get in. You would have got the players out that you know would have fallen in value. And all in all, you would have been in a position to be able to score a lot of points, but even more importantly, have some team value going into the rest of the season. Guys, if you like this video and this kind of content, please consider giving us a subscribe. Like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.